directors, if they are, in a sense, auteurs, that they have, like a novelist, they have a certain persuasion about the kinds of subjects that they want to film or the kinds of issues that they want to make films about. And I think for the people that work with them, it means there's a lot of variety in the kinds of films you do with them, because they will move from place to place to find another subject where they can explore the issues that they feel are important. That was true of, certainly it's true of Ken Loach. You know, that essentially when he makes a film about the Irish uprising and the Civil War in Ireland in the early 20th century, 1919, he is making a film about oppression and the struggle. And when he makes a film about the Spanish Civil War, he's making a film about oppression and the struggle. And similarly in Nicaragua, similarly in the social realism films he makes in Britain. And so I think that to a degree is true of most of the British directors that I've worked with, in their different ways. You know, Richard Attenborough was the same. You know, he only made films about things he found he cared about. Terry Gilliam, the same thing. There's certain things that appeal to him. In Terry's case, it's this kind of vision of the future, almost an anarchy about the way that society will start to turn in on itself and so on. You know, sometimes filmmakers are more general, but it's been the best thing for me in the collaboration has been the amount of variety that I've had as a result of collaborations. You would imagine dreams are more interesting than reality, and in some degrees that's true because what you write can be more fantastical, you know. But actually, what I love about working with Ken is the way that very often in his films the music begins where the film begins, with a very small, natural place, something very casual almost, a note, you know, a sound, something, and then it finds its way, as the story finds its way, into becoming a bigger canvas, that the music does the same. And that is hard, because in film music, you know, you want to be able to say hello early on. You know, it relaxes the job of writing music if people become used to the sound of the music. But in his films, very often it has to begin from almost nothing and then develop, and that has its rewards as well. And writing in a very small way should be easier, but actually it's harder sometimes. Quite early on, I worked on a film, and it was based on a novel, and I read the novel, and then I saw the film, and I realized that every preconception I'd had about the novel was wrong for the film, because I was responding to the book. The film had responded to the book too, and now it was important to respond to the film. Interestingly, Ken Loach never lets me read a script. He always gives me... The first time I ever know the story is when I see a cut of the film, because he thinks the first response, much in the same way as he does with actors, he's interested in their first response. So he always has a script, but they don't always know what the script is. So he gets a first response from them. And he likes that too in music. So I think the picture tells you, it's an important moment when you see a picture for the first time, because you are the picture's first audience. And it is your job to remember as the first audience. But we've come out of a period of having a lot of big franchise pictures, very expensive, and therefore with a great deal of micromanaging of that product, which includes music. And I think the result is that sometimes then the music for those films becomes very similar in what it does, and you go to one action film and you go to the next one and you hear the same sounds and the same rhythms and the same everything.
And Zimmer style.
Yeah. And all power to it, because it's great stuff. I have no problem with it at all. But I think that the repetition is the result of an anxiety that somehow the way to make this play, the way to make this popular, is to do it that way, because that worked before. And now, once the trust comes back in filmmakers and in a freer hand, that we'll see now, I think the next 5 years we'll see a lot more interesting and successful commercial success in films.